most likely it's a great approach for clinical stage AI, right? So when you are selling, for example, so if you are in sales, if you're selling product, that's what you are very interested in when you're a CEO of the company, increasing sales of the product on the market. So through digital apps, through better recognition of what patients are there for your products, for sales training, for the many different applications of AI in patient targeting. That's where AI can be very impactful when you have your own internal data, when you have your own internal sales force. I think, of course, Janet went the preclinical and clinical studies in the rapid mode. So I have not seen that before.
So now we have one question from Prashant Ghode. We have just unmute himself. Prashant Ghode. Another is Payal Dande and Ajay Kumar Gandhi. We have just unmuted yourself. Can you able to ask your question?
Oh, good morning. Audible?
Yes, madam, you are audible.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Good morning, Dr. Alex. My question is, when you did discuss about the clinical research organization in China, so there are two questions. One, on which field are you working at present with their CROs? And is there any CRO being located in India as well who are associated?
Oh, of course. So we are not only working with Chinese CROs. It's just it's a very good time zone and good geography to do everything in one place. Of course, we do work with Indian CROs, right? Like companies like Jubilant and many others. So India hosts a very large number of very good CROs, and nowadays it's a very good idea to diversify, right? It's just when you have expert Chinese-speaking management, it's very easy to partner with a lot of local CROs and basically treat them as your own discovery powerhouses. But of course, we also partner with Indian CROs.
My next question was, sir, which particular field are you working at present with in CROs? Like, which particular formulations are in clinical research or under research, clinical research right now?
So we pretty much, with the exception of very difficult assays, exotic assays that are not available at CROs, or extremely sensitive programs where we're going after, an undruggable target, and we know that we have very nice hits or leads where we do not want to expose anybody to this, really sensitive proprietary knowledge. We do everything in CRO. So most of the money that you spend as an AI-powered drug discovery company, in our case, would be on chemical synthesis, right? So you synthesize the molecules in the CROs, and then you need to synthesize it in adequate quantities in order to be able to perform experiments, right? So to do enzymatics, to do in vitro screening, to do cell-based assays, to do animal assays. So if you need to synthesize a lot, that's where a lot of money is being spent. Of course, we also do enzymatics, cell-based assays, PK/PD in CROs as well, and of course, the clinical trials are also performed by CROs. Even big pharma nowadays is performing most of the clinical trials in CROs, right? Because it's just easier. You can manage it for geographies in multiple sites. They are just so much better at it than you are. You just need to ensure that the data is flowing back to you, at least at the early stage, clinical stage, right? People are recording how they synthesize, what they synthesize, they record assay data, so you can use it back in your AI. But most of that, I would say that about 60-70% of the money that is being spent on CROs is spent on chemistry.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, any question, Dr. Gangwal, from the chat box or from the YouTube?
Yeah.
Dr. Syed Lukman, any question from your side? Syed Lukman?
Yes.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Actually, I just want to know that it's around 40 to 45,000 revenue of dollars medical coding companies gone through, right, in yearly. As have you used any Google Lens? If we can easily translate the words by Google Lens. So it's an AI example. So in medical coding, can we do the same? Like if we code every diabetics or words into AI coding, and just one click we can do sheets of many things, and it can reduce the labor work and all. Are you planning for that?
Yeah, so for us, we don't provide those kind of services to anybody, and we do not require those services. So we, instead of doing medical coding, we're now doing a lot of transformer deep neural networks. You know how transformers work, right? So to extract relevant information from the clinical trial data and also from literature to be able to augment our target discovery hypothesis of clinical study design. But I would say that the companies that will be in need for such a service, for medical coding service, would be clinical trial CROs, right, who get a lot of doctor notes and other data to properly encode it into their systems. But yeah, we don't do it, but it's I would say it can be augmented with AI quite substantially.
Yeah,
just like
it's
with
a
medical
good
transcription.
initiation. It will be a good initiative if you go through that, and because I have that idea, and I have discussed with my CEO as well regarding this thing, that if we build a AI in our medical coding sector, that will be a very good for us for getting the work done within a click, and just we are on that.
Of course. So nowadays, for any kind of coding, you know, even on your iPhone, you've got an app that will record your voice, and afterwards it will turn it into a transcribed text file. So if you do it with a professional domain-adapted service, it will definitely outperform pretty dramatically. And there are many companies doing that now.
Yeah, thanks.
Please limit to one question only. Now, may I request Ajay Kumar Gandhi to ask his question? We have unmuted yourself. Okay, so only two more questions are there, then we process for the next activity. Sir, one more question is there. What is the role of black box and explainable AI from drug discovery point of view? Explainable AI and black box.
So sure, it depends on which stage of drug discovery you are talking about. So I would say target discovery, many of the AI modules that we have in Panda Onyx and in general, and also internally, many of them are very explainable, right? So you train your algorithm to make a certain prediction, and usually you can see the features that are most important for making this prediction. So you can use permutation feature importance, deep feature selection, SHOP, and many other approaches to make your AI more explainable. And you can also achieve some form of explainability by doing a bunch of use cases on your predictor, right? Because then you can basically see why it formulates, why it makes certain predictions. And also with generative AI, you can also manipulate many features, many generation conditions to make your AI a little bit more explainable, or you can do it through adversarial examples. So for target ID, it's usually not a big problem. For chemistry, that's where it becomes very problematic, because many of the features that you are using are not exactly interpretable using human intelligence, right? So even really amazing medicinal chemists, when they look at some of the molecules that are generated using AI, they may not be able to differentiate between the molecule that is more soluble or less soluble, even if they have the numerical values for predicted solubility, or metabolic stability, or PK/PD. PK/PD is extremely difficult to interpret from the molecular structure. So it's very difficult for humans. So when you are working with AI on chemistry and using, for example, generative modeling or predictive modeling, there it's very difficult to infer why AI made certain molecule and why it is better than the other. So there you actually need to use different forms of AI and different forms of predictors to compare them against each other and see and basically make inferences and make different explanations for each different approach. So it's not exactly straightforward. For clinical trials outcomes prediction systems, usually and specifically text-based, there are standard interpretability tools. And you can use different techniques, SHOP, DFS, BFI, many others. I'm just talking about just very conventional ones. So in my opinion, pretty much every AI that can be, any decision, any prediction that can be made by a human, and that can be also made by AI, is explainable. So for me, I don't think that there is unexplainable AI, unless you are working with, again, hardcore chemistry or medical imaging involving MRI, CT, etc., where humans cannot interpret it easily. But you can always set up some form of experiment to make it more or less explainable.
Okay, sir.
Sir, there is one last question from Ajay Kumar Gandhi, sir. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes. You are.
The question is, like retroanalysis in chemistry, is analogous concept can be provided in drug discovery?
So that is kind of, so how is chemistry and drug discovery different? So if you're talking, you're talking about retrosynthesis, maybe? How retrosynthesis can be used in drug discovery, or I might be misunderstanding the question. But basically, yeah, retrosynthesis is a huge component in drug discovery. So synthetics using AI, very little time would be spent in discussion later on. You prioritize the targets, you give it to chemistry AI, it generates small molecules for synthesis. You synthesize those that are most promising, and also have enzymatic assays ready to go, and you test them very quickly. So friction is usually introduced when you have additional human parties that are not necessary for you. Like, for example, very often when you partner with a pharmaceutical company, they would say, oh, I have my own synthetic group, or I have my own contract with a CRO. So you guys, you come up with target hypothesis, and you can also give us the structures, but we are going to synthesize, and we are going to test. That is friction, right? Because it means that you need to hand off the targets and the structures to that other partner. They would need to review that. They have to go through committees. They would discuss it. They would really spend a lot of time and very often they would use human intelligence, and maybe human intelligence that is not familiar with the approaches that you use to generate the target hypothesis and the small molecules, and introduce additional time and also the human intelligence burden and sometimes human intelligence conflicts and the biases into the process, and that might add an additional year to the process, believe it or not. So in big pharmaceutical companies, when they prioritize the targets for, for example, hit to lead or lead off, sometimes they take a year, sometimes they take 2 years to progress it into their own pipelines. And that's constant debate. Sometimes people leave, sometimes they go on vacation. So whenever there is bureaucratic friction, it really inhibits the power of AI. And we've seen that in multiple partnerships, and we've seen it in multiple joint ventures as well. So when there is a handoff from in silico to a partner, a lot of value of AI is being destroyed. Also, you would not be able to get the data back very often. So usually that's why we created a seamless, frictionless model where we pass the data to the CRO, we get the results back immediately, we are in total control. So there are no additional decision makers in the process.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Alex, sir, for enlightening us with enriched knowledge of transforming the drug discovery and development process with end-to-end AI and its applications in depth. May I now request Amit sir to present his concluding remarks.
Thank you.
Sir, unmute yourself. Dr. Amit, unmute yourself.
Yeah. Sorry, sir. Thanks, Wadekar, sir. Thanks, Dr. Alex, for your deep insights on the subject matter. In fact, you have shared the hottest and latest information and the research going in the field as a doer, as a custodian, as a beacon holder, and as a guide to some of the top giants in pharma industry as well. We are fortunate, sir, that we got an opportunity to enrich our knowledge and learn valuable basics involved in next generation drug discovery owing to AI. Sir, once again, thanks, and we hope to get same type of cooperation and future collaborations under your guidance from coming years as well. I wish you and the entire team a great luck ahead for launching more and more drug through AI, and I wish you all the luck for successful clinical output, which is going in the Australia for rare disorder, for that is idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Sir, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, and namaste.
So we take this opportunity and we are proud to present a certificate of appreciation to Dr. Alex for phenomenal worthy presentation.
Thank you.
Can we have the certificate on the screen?
Sir. Now I request all the delegates to please switch on the camera of the device so that we can capture a very memorable picture of this conference, of this webinar.
Okay, I will allow.
I request all the delegates, please switch on the camera of the device.
We have presented the certificate to Dr. Alex for the phenomenal and worthy presentation on end-to-end AI for drug discovery and development, how fast and how far we can go.
Thank you.
So please, wait a minute. I'm taking this pic in the larger gallery mode now.
Yeah. Okay, Wadekar sir, it is okay. You can take it.
Yeah.
Dr. Alex, we are very impressed with your infographics on your website. They are highly informative and self-explanatory infographics, particularly the one in which your team has says drug discovery is finding a needle in the haystack, but because of AI, now we can customize, we can generate our own needles rather to find the one.
Thank you, sir.
And let's generate many of those needles in India. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
for organizing the symposium, and thank you for setting up the institute. We really need the talent and great drugs coming from India. Thank you.
Principal, sir, any remark from your respected principal, sir, for any future collaboration? If we are missing something.
We will be very happy to collaborate. So again, it's a wonderful symposium, wonderful initiative, and it's great to see so many new entrants into the field. I think that the future is bright.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
I request all the delegates to kindly please join the link for the next session. Kindly click on the given link to join the next session of respected Mr. Subroto Mukherjee, sir. Thank you very much.
So we declare the session is over. Once again, thank you, Dr. Alex, for your time and guidance. Now, next session, Dr. Subroto, if time permits, we request you to join, sir. Dr. Alex, please.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
the whole process, and you cannot tamper with it. That's the whole part of the blockchain, and this is one of the important factors, I think, which will help in reducing it. I would not say will be completely eliminating it, but is reducing the counterfeit part of it, which is also helping the more efficacy of the products being manufactured someone, so your substantial products are not being there. I think the next part of it is also, if you look at the first slide I was mentioning, is the digital therapeutics. It is gaining a lot of traction in across and pretty much everywhere, where patient-centric asset class is being considered as developed, right? So digital therapeutics actually is very important in right now, which is there. So it is kind of option where people are going to start prescribing digital medicines. And when you say digital medicines, the doctor might start saying, okay, use this health app, use this app, going to be helping you out. And this is not going to be, many of these health apps are in US.